Hi, I'm Dan Ortiz, and for the duration of this video manual, I'm going to be the one instructing you on how to make an Aquabot. Now, the first thing that we're going to learn how to do, before we actually build any components that will become a part of our Aquabot, we're going to learn how to build the tether.
So, what exactly is a tether? Well, in a professional remotely operated vehicle, or an ROV, the controller is connected to the bot by using a single sheath of bundled wire. This is called a tether. Now, for the purposes of building an Aquabot, we will use speaker wire to make up our tether. To build the speaker wire tether, you'll need three 30-foot strands of paired speaker wire. To help measure this distance, I'll use an old tether to act as my 30-foot guide. For this purpose, you'll want to find some place that'll provide you with enough room to lay out your lengths of wire. I myself will use the front room of the office to demonstrate this. To make it easy for myself, I've set the leg of a chair through the spool of speaker wire and propped it up against a table. This will keep the spool in place as I measure out all three lengths. Now once you've measured and cut all 30-foot strands, take their three ends and secure them together using a single small zip tie. It's important to do only one of the ends and not both for right now.
Now that I've cut three individual lengths of 30 feet of speaker wire each, and I've made sure that I've secured the three wires together on one end. Alright, so I have one end, they're roughly all the same length here. I'll cut these down at the very end. What we're going to do is we're going to take small zip ties. You're going to want about at least 30 or so because we're going to put these on the tether at roughly 1 foot intervals. So having 30 feet of wire tether, or give or take 30 feet, and roughly a zip tie per foot, you're going to want at least 30. So you're going to want a lot of zip ties, small zip ties for this. So what we're going to do is we've secured only one end, and this is important because we don't want any tangles or any kinks in our wire. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we have no tangles in this 1 foot segment of wire. All right, all the wires are roughly the same length. So here where my left thumb is, I'm going to make a connection with a zip tie, and I'm going to put the zip tie on. I'm going to tighten it as best I can right there. There we go. And so now I have 1 foot of tether that's ready, and I'm going to keep going. And as I go, if there's any tangles in the wires, like there's definitely going to be down towards the end, I'm going to take the opposite end and I'm just going to untangle the wires so that as I go, there's no tangles and I can keep a nice, neat, and taut tether. So here's another foot that's ready. I'm going to hold it with my left hand. I'm going to put on a zip tie. And then I'm not going to describe the rest of this as I go because it's very repetitive, but all you got to remember is to put on zip ties every foot interval or so, and you're going to also want to make sure that there's no tangles in your tether. Alright? And don't worry about the excess zip tie like I have here. Once you put zip ties on all the way across, we'll get to that. So first, put on your zip ties at 1 foot intervals and make sure that your wires aren't tangled as you go along. Alright, now that I've basically finished putting on all the zip ties on my tether, there's no tangles, and I made sure that roughly each one is about 1 foot in length segments of the tether. You're going to want to take your last zip tie that you put on and put it on roughly 1 inch below the shortest wire on the other end of your tether here. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut down the lengths of the other two longer wires to match the length of your shortest wire. This will help give you an even length or same length tether for all three of the different wires that are included in your tether. Alright, so once you do that, actually I need this. So once you've made sure that both ends of your tether, let me find the other end here. Here we go. Both ends of your tether are the same length. Alright, the wires that are exposed are the same length. What you want to do is you're going to want to cut off each and every of these, single one of these exposed plastic ends of your zip ties. So what you want to do is you're going to want to take your wire cutters, get really close to this connection right here, as close as you possibly can, and you want to snip each one of them off. Alright, it's going to make a mess, so you want to have a trash can nearby to throw them out. But when you handle the tether, it's a lot more painful and difficult to do so if there's a lot of exposed, I'm not focused. If there's a lot of exposed wire, if there's a lot of exposed plastic left. All right. So avoid making cuts like that. Even shorter ones are also difficult to work with. All right, so avoid leaving any of the plastic exposed. All right. Make sure that you cut it down as close as you possibly can, all along the length of your tether. All right. Now once you finally cut off all the excess zip tie from your entire tether, so you notice there's no real overhang. I missed one there, so I'll get that in a sec. But otherwise, once your tether basically looks like this, wrap it up whichever way you prefer, and then take a removable zip tie and secure your tether together with the zip tie, so that way we can use it later on and have it in a manageable fashion so that not all 30 feet of it are flopping around and getting tangled. So once you do this, you've prepared your tether, and now we can start making our actual Aquabot.